Today I want to talk about why this is the year of the freshman quarterback, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, you probably noticed after 1 week of college football, there is an enormous amount of freshman quarterback play across the country. You can look at everywhere from Boise State with Hank Bachmeier, who had his debut where he threw for over 400 yards against Florida State, who is atrocious, but still Florida State. Sam Howell beat what we thought was a pretty decent South Carolina team until, you had this Mark Morrison concert breakout in the middle of their game, and you got Mac Brown dancing on Will Muschamp's. There's a lot of people that are finding a lot of giddy joy in all of that because they saw the head coach in waiting thing and yada, yada, yada. You can continue to look around and look at transfer quarterbacks and see how those guys are turning out. Jacob Eason, went for over 300 yards in his opener. You can look at what Jalen Hurts was able to do with over 500 yards of offense on his own against Houston. You can look at what Justin Fields was able to do, making his appearance and making his presence known against Florida Atlantic with a 50-plus yard TD. But as I continue to look across the board, and I continue to look at all of the quarterbacks, I'm going, man, Jaden Daniels looked really good at Arizona State. Now, with JT Daniels out, you have another true freshman quarterback there because Jack Sears decided, hey, man, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you had a guy in Jake Hayner say, you know what, I'd rather transfer to Fresno State and wait for my turn next year. He's going to redshirt this year. You continue to look all over the country at other quarterbacks in the moving and the shaking and the shuffling. Josh Jackson at Maryland where they dropped 79, man. By the way, it's kind of a picks video because I wanted to do this little thing about quarterbacks and how interesting they are, and I want to get to that, but take Maryland to beat Syracuse straight up, giving that one out, okay? I'm like 16-3 outright. What am I? 16-3 outright and 14-5 against the spread, and I'm picking winners, all right? So in the middle of all of this, I just want to throw out, I'm fading all of these ranked teams inside of the top 25 from 20 to 25, and I'm going to tell you why, because check this out. The Action Network gave this out. If we're talking about ranked teams from 20 to 25 against unranked teams, less than 2 touchdown favorites keep the opponent respectable and the spread more enticing. 55% or more of spread bets to filter out uncharacteristically contrarian spots. Those teams have gone 90, 126, and 5 against the spread since 2005. Fading such teams would have profited about 29.4 more units over that time for a 13.3% return on investment. If the unranked team was above 500, that record falls to 43, 73, and 2, and the rate on return on fading it rises to 21.8%. Obviously, week 2 isn't the most fair time to be judging teams off of their record, though. But that said, I'm taking Maryland against the number 21 Syracuse. I'm taking Stanford at 23 against USC because they got a quarterback situation, and I don't trust them. Plus, I mean, you're talking about a 1-point spread, so it's basically a pick 'em. Marshall at Boise State is very interesting. I got Marshall to cover. I got Boise to win. I still think that Colorado is a better team than people think, and I think Nebraska is worse than people think. I think Colorado is going to get that one at home, even as there's going to be a sea of big red out there. And I'm going to take Fresno State against Minnesota, which I know a lot of people are not going to be interested in, but those are the picks in the middle of this soliloquy about quarterback play. Because now that you've seen all the true freshman quarterbacks starting, and you've seen all the transfer quarterbacks and their abilities to play, I think for the first time in modern college football history, we are in a moment where quarterback play is exactly as important as we've all said it is. Why? Because you probably don't have an outstanding, capable number 2 quarterback on your college football team's roster. That includes mine, right? Or at the very least, an unproven guy. Because, say, Jalen Hurts is the guy at Oklahoma and many people's favorite to win the Heisman Trophy for a number of reasons, not the least of which is how dare you pick against Lincoln Riley, who's put the last 2 on the podium, right? You're basically saying it can't go on like this because law averages, and then you saw what Jalen Hurts was able to do with that offense. But behind him, you got Tanner Mordecai, who's never started a game, and Spencer Rattler, who to this day has still not played a game at Oklahoma, right? Then you look around. Who's behind Sam Howell? Do you know? Right? Who was behind JT Daniels? Well, somebody that Clay Helton has to depend on, and I don't think it's going to go out well for them. Jake Haener does not want to be behind Jacob Eason, so now they don't have a capable backup. You look at even Alabama. Folks are high on Mac Jones, but nobody's going to say that he's as good as Tua or capable of leading them to a national championship. And you continue to go on. Who is behind James Blackman? Who's behind Hank Bachmeier, guy that I'm really high on at Boise State? You can continue to look around and say some of these guys are absolute studs, and some of them are just dudes. Like, think about Trevor Lawrence at Clemson and the shuffling that his starting put it into the focus. You had Kelly Bryant, who's no longer there. He was at Missouri, threw for over 400 yards and a loss. And, of course, you had Hunter Johnson, who took a loss to Stanford but is the starting guy. So there's basically 3 quarterbacks that started in week 1 that were all at Clemson at one point or another. Now what happens if Trevor Lawrence gets hurt, or like last year, you needed Kelly Bryant to come in and save you. Kelly Bryant is not there to save you anymore. So I think this is a really interesting time to take a look at quarterbacks and also look at how they're being used. Because it used to be you use the zone read, right, with the quarterback as an option to run to try to make defenses wrong. You get a box where you get 6 in the box, and you try to even those odds by turning the quarterback into a runner, right? Now, if you turn that quarterback into a runner, he's much more likely to get destroyed, right? He gets destroyed, he can't play quarterback anymore. He can't play quarterback anymore, you're probably not going to be a very good football team. So what do? You try to work in the RPO, right? You let your wide receiver or your tight end take that hit or take that weight off of your quarterback to run. Because now, instead of just having to read the end, you have quarterbacks that are smart enough and capable enough to read the entire field. And there's a deadly RPO for everybody. The one I love most is at Alabama, where Tua is reading mesh, reading the end, reading the outside backer, reading the safety all at the same time. And if he sees that backer crash, or he sees that safety back off, or he sees that end flare out, guess what? You got Jerry Jeudy in the slot coming across the middle on an easy slant route, right? And we all know that Jerry Jeudy, Biletnikoff Award winner from last year. For some, he's the best wide receiver in all of college football. You're seeing how guys are just getting more complicated in the way that they want to use their quarterback to make defenses wrong while also trying to protect the quarterbacks. Because like last year, when Tua got hurt in the SEC championship, you were able to go to Jalen Hurts, who was a very good backup, who was probably the best backup in all of college football last year, who can win you a game. You can't do that anymore, and it's going to happen. Some quarterback who's high profile, who's really good at playing quarterback is going to get hurt, and you're going to find out just how shallow the depth is behind him. So as much as we like to say the quarterbacks are so important, for once, this year, 2019, they're going to be exactly as important as we think they are. All right, that's it for me. Doses.